United States Army Air Forces. The United States Army Air Forces was the major land-based aerial warfare services component of the United States Army and de facto aerial warfare services branch of the United States during and immediately after World War II. It was created on 20 June 1941 as successor to the previous United States Army Air Corps, and it was and is the directed producer of the United States Air Force today, one of the six armed forces of the United States. The EAF was a component of the United States Army, which on 2 March 1942 was divided functionally by executive order into three autonomous forces: the Army Ground Forces, the United States Army Services of Supply, and the Army Air Forces. Each of these forces had a commanding general who reported directly to the Army Chief of Staff. The AAF administered all parts of military aviations formerly distributed among the Air Corps General Headquarters, Air Force, and the ground forces corps area commanders, and thus become the first air organization of the U.S. Army to control its own installations and support personnel. The peak size of the AAF during World War II was over 2.4 million men and women in services and nearly 80,000 aircraft by 1944, and 783 domestic bases in December 1943. By VE Day, the Army Air Forces had 1.25 million men stationed overseas and operated for more than 1,600 airfields worldwide. The Army Air Forces was created in June 1941 to provide the air arm generated autonomy in which to expand more efficiently, to provide a structure for additional command echelons required by the vastly increases forces, and to end an increasingly decisive administrative battle within the army over control to aviation's deterrine and organization that had been ongoing since the creation of an aviation section within the U.S. Army Signal Corps in 1914. The AAF succeeded born the Air Corps, which had been the statutory military aviation base branch since 1926, and the GHQ Air Force had been activated in 1935 to quiet the demand of airmen for an independent air force similar to the Royal Air Force, which had already been established in the United Kingdom. Although other nations already had separate air forces independent of their army or navy, the AAF remained a part of the army until a defense reorganization in the post-war period resulted in the passage by the United States Congress of the National Security Act of 1947, with the creation of an independent United States Air Force in September 1947. In its expansion and conduct of the war, the AF become more than just an arm of the greater organization. By the end of the World War II, the Army Air Force had become virtual and independent services by regulation and executive order. It was a subordinate agency of the United States Department of War, tasked only with organizing, training, and equipping combat units and limited in responsibility to the continental United States. In reality, headquarters AAF controlled the conduct of all aspects of the air war in every part of the world, determining air policy and issuing orders without transmitting them through the army chief of staff was constant between theory and fact is fundamental to an understanding of the AAF creation unity of command problem in the air corps. The root of the army air force arose in the formulation of the theories of strategic bombing and at the air corps tactical school that gave new impetus to ornaments for an independent air force, beginning with those exposed by bringing gun Billy Mitchell that led to his later court material despite preconception of resistance and even obstruction then by the buoyancy in the war department journal staff, much of which was arguable of lack found the air corps later made great strides. The 1930s both organizationally and in decomrade Australia stressing previous combing of the industrial target by heavily armed long-range bombers emergency formulated by the one who would become its later